Good morning, Mom Elise. Good morning, classmates. Today, we will be talking about personality development. When we say personality development, what comes in your mind? Yes, personality development is the holistic attributes of a person, not just only by physical, but also in mental, emotional, and or even spiritual attributes. A person could be described as having aggressive personality or submissive personality. The person observing you and your outward manifestations can be immediately describe your attribute or characteristics of really who you are. So it depends on our performances, on how we deal with people. That is personality development. There are 5 components of personality development. First, the spiritual and moral values. This pertains to the relationship with God. These are piety, religiosity, honesty, generosity, sincerity, responsibility, keeping of promise, punctuality, devotion to duty, absence of antisocial tendencies. So in this component, it talks about the spiritual life of a person and how he commits values and how he integrates it within himself and how he show it to other people. That's what we call the spiritual and or moral values. Number 2, psychosocial traits. These traits refer to the ability of to just the society, dominance, submissiveness, generosity, good manners, extroversion or introversion lifestyle. And these components talk about the cognitive manner of a person towards the society and how he or she deal with it depends on his or her behavior, on how he adjusts, on how he overcome problems he encountered within the society. Number 3, temperament. This refers to self-control, emotional maturity, and stability, ability to cope with stress and strain, and cool when he feels irritable. So this means about emotional aspect of a person, on how he carries his emotion towards others, and how he solves some emotional issues within himself and with other people. Number 4, the physical or biological traits and characteristics. These refer to the general physical attribute, height, weight, size of the body, color of the hair, manner of walking, health, and etc. So this talks about the physical aspect of a person, on how tall he is, his body weight, his health, about physical appearance. Then we have here the number 5, the capacities. These refer to mental capacity or intelligence, education, expertise, noted achievement, and multiple intelligence like talents in art, music, and etc. In other words, these are the skills of a person on how he manifests his skills with others in his job or how he help other people using his skills. Okay, next up, structure of personality. According to Birch in 1998, personality consists of 3 major structures presented by Freud. These are id, the ego, and the superego. When we say id, it talks about the pleasure principle. What's the most manifesting here is the pleasure of a person. He or she will be satisfied based on his or her pleasure. He doesn't follow a rule or abide it as long as he got satisfied his pleasure. example, when you are craving for a food, you disregard the values and eating the the manners of proper behavior when you are in the table. As long as you are satisfied of how many foods you eat and how many liters of drinks you are going to drink. Next, ego operates the reality principle. This talks about the reality. For example, a child becomes hungry. She will be waiting for someone who will cook his or her food because he or she doesn't know how to cook. Then afterwards, when the food is cooked, when she knows it's already cooked, then she will eat and satisfy herself rather. The last one, the superego. This is equivalent to conscience. It represents the individual's own internal framework of what is right and wrong. Continue with our example. When a child is hungry, she is waiting the food to be cooked. He prepare a plate and spoon and fork. Then he is in a manner of the right way of eating. When he gets full, then he stops and his satisfaction ends there. Nothing else follows because for him, after your stomach will be full, then it's the end of your eating food. Unlike in the videos of mukbang, it talks about the pleasure principle. It disregards the principle of moral values in eating, as long as they satisfy themselves, though they are not eating in a proper manner. Next, we have here the theories of personality. This is formulated by the theory of Hilgard in the traits and characteristics theory, as it was cited by Calderon. First is the physique or the body types. It's the body constitution, health, and vigor associated with temperament. So it talks about the physical attributes of a person combined with some mental aspects. From Kretzkimmer's classifications, there are four. First, the asthenic. A person is described as a tall, thin body associated with schizophrenia or schizotype temperament, a mental disorder characterized by splitting of personality, dissociation, emotional deterioration, and out of additional content. Type of person, when he decides he's going to split, he cannot decide quickly. So that's it. Then next we have number 2, the picnic. He is described as short, fat body with cyclothymic temperament, a mild manic depressive psychosis involving recurring cycles of exhilaration and depression. So this person could easily be depressed. So that's the attributes of this picnic person. Number 3, dysplastic, a bodily defective and handicapped person. So this refers to the persons with disabilities. Next, number 4, the normal. There's only mild form of asthenic and picnic characteristics, and bodies and temperaments are appropriate and accepted as normal by the majority. So it's us. We are belongs to the normal according to Kretzkimmer's classification. There are only few flaws in our physical and mental aspects, and it's considered as normal with the society. Another one is the Sheldon's classification. So in his classification, there are 4. First, rather, there are endothermic or endomorph, mesomorphic, ectomorphic, ectomorph. So when we say endomorphic, This person is characterized by prominence of intestines, visceral organs around the body, but weak muscles and bones. Their intestines and visceral organs are healthy, but in terms of muscle and bones, they are weak. They could easily get sick. Then second, the mesomorphic, he is an athletic type of person with strong and repelling muscles, broad-shouldered and narrow-hipped. This belongs to athletes or people who are active, not only the athletes. So, yeah, that's it. Number 3, the ectomorphic or the ectomorph. He could be described as tall, thin, and stoop-shouldered, with delicate skin, fair hair, and sensitive nervous system. Words, he is almost normal, but in terms of nervous system, he is sensitive. He could be easily angered, or he could be easily irritated. Let's move to number 2, the temperament types. One formulated 3 temperaments. First, the Vesotonic. This is characterized by predominantly endomorphic, loves to eat, seeks bodily comfort, sociable, relaxed in posture and movement, and slow in reactions. These people are those who are calm. They they cannot be easily angered, rather than they are calm. Number 2, the sonatotonic. He is described as predominantly mesomorph, energetic, likes exercise, direct in his manners, and loves competitive aggressiveness. So these people are those who are competent, are physically and emotionally strong. They are prone on making arguments. 3, the cerebrotonic. He is predominantly described as ectomorphic, sensitive, and emotional, worries much, does not like groups, and loves solitude. You can say that this person or people are loner. It's better for them to be alone than to associate with others. That is the characteristic of a cerebrotonic person. Now let's have the Greek classification is in as usually attributed to Hippocrates. Here there are 4 classifications. First, the sanguine is described as warm-hearted, pleasant, quick to react, balanced emotional excitement, predominant body fluid is blood. You can say here that these people are those who are humble. They are those who are approachable. In other words, they are emotionally balanced. They know how to handle people in terms of their emotional aspects. Number 2, we have melancholic. He suffers from depression and sadness, unpleasant, calm emotion. The predominant body fluid is the black bile. These persons are those who are emotionally weak. They could easily hurt, even though the words are just jokes or it's not intendedly said. They could easily get hurt. So that's the behavior of or the emotion manifested by the melancholic people. Number 3, the choleric. It is described as easily gets angry and quick to react, irritable, easily excited emotionally. Predominant body fluid is the yellow bile. So it's the opposite of the sanguine. If a sanguine is humble or approachable, this one could easily be irritated. One who could easily be angered and cannot control their emotions. Number 4, we have phlegmatic. Listless, slow, apathetic, calm, emotionally weak. Permanent body fluid is the phlegm. are the people who are of dealing with in terms of dealing with their emotion. They cannot easily move on. In other words, they are emotionally weak. Number 3, we will talk about the behavior based on the psychological types. This this theory is formulated by Jung theory. Maybe it's familiar to you, the introvert, extrovert, and ambivert. First, the introvert, he is a person who prefers to be alone, loner, shy, withdrawn, but maybe a leader in the discussion if his level of intelligence is high. As we observe other people, we can see this type of person. They are preferably happy if they're alone rather than dealing with others. So the opposite of that is the extrovert. He is a person who tends to be very sociable, egocentric, emotional, orthodox, outgoing, well-dressed, and who prefers to work that deals with people. People are sad when they are alone, but when they engage with others, they are very strong. They can interact easily, they can express themselves, and they can show who they are and can work actively with others. The third is the ambivert. Is a normal type person who is in between the two extremes of introversion and extroversion. So, in other words, they are half introvert and half extrovert. So, they manifest all the behavior of introvert and extrovert depending on their moods or on their emotions. Let's go to the development of personality according to the Sigmund Freud theory, the psychosexual theory. So for him, that a child or a person is directed towards a different part of the body, he referred to as the sexual instincts, which means the physical pleasure for children. The latter development, each stage entails problems to be overcome. So, there is called fixation, when each level or each stage is not completely experienced by child. So, this child, as a severe cases, result in neurosis in adult life. So, he might retain some of those characteristics which he did not completed or he did not satisfied when he was on his childhood days. In Freud's psychosexual stage, first is the oral stage, from birth up to 1 year old. The dominant in here is the id or the pleasure principle. According to Freud, the libidinal energy is centered on the mouth and the child gains satisfaction from sucking and biting. It's very observable, right? We saw infants who are sucking their mouths. So, according to Freud, that is in the level of stage when a child satisfies himself or herself through sucking and biting. Anything he can see or sucking his fingers or his hands. Next, the anal stage, when a child's in the second year of life or when he is to become 2 years old. This stage focuses on the pleasurable sensations experienced in the mucous membranes of rectum. It's the time when a child releases his or her poo. Freud's theory, if a child is satisfied or completely satisfied in anal stage, when he get old, the child will be normal situation, but if he's not satisfied, there's a tendency that when he grow old, he going to scratch his rectum or comfortable having movement of his bowel. 3. We have phallic stage. Libidinal energy centers here in genitals. It's about Oedipus complex and Electra complex. When you say Oedipus complex, it was when a child compare himself to his father. So a male child compare to his father. That what are the characteristics, behavior that he must follow to his father. Number one, the Electra complex. There is a girl's identification with her and her mother. Example, the child can determine that his her mother should have long hair because the girl's entity is having long hair, and her mother has a vagina because that's what she have rather. But in terms of in their genitals, if the attachment is much strong to the father, there is what we call the love attachment. The girl is more attached with his father than her mother. Same as a male child, if he is attached more than his mother, so he strongly feel the love attachment between him and his mother. Next, the latency period. This is characterized by calmness following the turmoil of the phallic stage. Libido in here is submerged and does not center upon any bodily area. So in this, we can say that in this stage, the development of a child in psychosexual aspects is relaxed. There's no more any activities happen. We can say that the manifesting here is the development of the growth only of a child. Now, next is the last one, the genital stage, or this is manifested during the puberty or the adolescent stage of a child. There is a renewed interest in sexual pleasure and all previous sexual drives associated with particular regions of the body, which come together in an integrated set of adult attitudes and feelings, since the hormonal changes now stimulate the re-emergence of the libido. Stage, a child notices that his body is stimulates changes. So this one, he bear in mind that he must have to act like an adult because he's already in the adolescent stage. Here the sexual pleasure becomes higher because they're already in stage of being teenager. Next, we have the personality development in the 5 dimensions of informing for human personality. These are the physical self, energy self, intellectual self, mental self, and the blissful self. Physical self relates to our senses. We have 5 senses, right? Sense of sight, sense of taste, sense of feeling, sense of hearing, and the sense of sight, or sense of smell rather. Also talks about the nourishment or the growth of a person. So in other words, it talks about mainly the physical aspect of a person. Next, the energy self relates to the metabolism and the gross manifestations of energy, about the energy released by a person when he gets anger or having anxiety or less restlessness. Aspects depends on the energy level or how strong is the energy of that person. Next, the intellectual self. It pertains on the discrimination, power, and knowledge of the cognitive domain. It talks about the mental capacity or the mental attributes of the person, if how intelligent he is on, or is the level of his intellectual capacity. Next, the mental self is related to stress and psychology. Like for example, the behavior or the characteristics of selflessness and control, concentration and calmness, and mind plays essential role. So it's the capacity of mind to think or to decide or whatever he wants to do. The last one is the Andamaya Kosha, or the blissful self. Is the function of state of being. So it calls for remaining calm and unaffected, for remaining happy in all the frivolities of world and all neck-breaking competition and struggle, failure and success. So among a journey of a person, he is comfortable and completely happy. So it's the satisfaction of a person. It's the completeness of his personality or his development as a human being. So that is the blissful self. And that's it. That's the ends of my report here. Thank you very much for listening and watching this video. God bless ahead, everyone. Thank you. Good morning again.